material things will not really bring, over the years, like I thought, you have to have something in order for you to be happy. And I think for me, I don't know if this was just something from like my childhood where you don't really get those moments a lot. So when you do, you actually enjoy it. And in terms of not just material things, in terms of like feeling of with people, moments where you're just doing something really silly, whether it's like riding your bike for the first time, swimming,
like and actually taking in the
enjoyment
of that moment.
And that moment. So I really started to realize, like, and I think I've translated this to my adulthood, is that my happiness comes from like moments I do towards like just those moments. So
hey rockers, welcome to Mama-Ology Psychology, where you get to peer into the minds of the owners of Mama-Ology Burgers. We're bringing you into our world, where we talk all things business, lifestyle, and our psychology. Hi guys, welcome to Mama-Ology Psychology. We're now on episode 13, and we've decided today to be in this lovely garden, to present from this lovely, lovely garden.
Whilst eating natural foods.
Yes. Yes, we're munching on our foods, having a little picnic here. We decided to choose this beautiful garden today because today's all about happiness and what's the secret to happiness. And today we've invited our beautiful guest here. Please say your name because I'm really struggling. I'm sorry. I struggled.
She said it like 10 times.
I know.
Over the last 10 years.
Name. It's such a beautiful name.
oh wow, it's been 10 years.
No. But we've known each other for a long time.
Yeah, true.
But I still find it difficult to say your name. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. My name is Nyacomba Gidu, but some people call me Jonas.
Now you say. We could have said that the whole time.
No, these days I'm being, because Jonas was a nickname I gave myself because of the reason I don't have an English name actually.
Okay.
So it was one of, and also the love of Jonas Brothers.
Oh wow!
As a teenager.
Damn.
So it's if you knew me back in the day, then you'd know that that is my nickname. But yeah, my name is Nyacomba. I'm really happy to be here, this lovely garden. Excited to like delve into the conversation today. As whilst we're having Mama Rocks.
But hold on, you're more than your name. Tell us more about what you do.
Oh yes, wow. I am a fashion designer and illustrator by profession. But I also run this amazing organization called Free Mind Sessions, which brings people together to a safe space for conversation, informal networking, just a place to break stereotypes and get to understand people's opinions. Yeah. I feel like a lot of times we're very good at online debate and WhatsApp debate.
Exactly, yeah.
But when it comes to face-to-face.
When you come to face and telling to your face, people are like, they freeze, they don't know what to do. Yeah. And I think vulnerability and authenticity is something big that I stand for, and my team as well. So yeah, we've been running it for 4 years.
It's great stuff. We've been to a couple of the sessions.
Yeah, I know.
I feel like the world needs more of these kind of sessions, getting people to talk.
So people don't hide behind Twitter.
Yeah.
Oh, Twitter. That's another place I forgot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's only when you get people together to actually talk that, you learn so much from hearing other people's opinions, not just having your own, set opinions.
Mindset.
Yeah. It's good it really opens people up and gets people talking. It's great.
I think the environment is key. One thing that I've learned is that when you get people comfortable, there's something lubricated a little bit. That liquid courage always helps. That's why most of our venues have been either like Alchemist, and then we moved to like Kesh, and now we're at Lava Latte. So it's like we've been even at Kampala, Kilifi Festival, all these places that kind of encourage the talk, Yeah.
So we chose. Why do you think we chose you for this podcast?
Oh Lord, have mercy.
We wanted her to join us for this podcast because she's actually the happiest person that I know.
I have another name for you. I'm going to call you Sunshine.
Oh, no,
Yes.
you
Or
get
Ray. Ray instead of Jonas. It's still a male name.
Yeah.
Ray.
Yes. We've rechristened you.
Yeah, Ray.
Christened you Ray.
Ray.
Oh, you guys
Yeah.
are being so kind.
So our podcast is all about happiness today, and
Yeah.
for me, you immediately came to my mind because whenever I bump into you,
Yeah.
you're always, smiley and happy, and you just seem like you know yourself, and I really admire that about
It's more
you.
than the usual. You know, most
Yeah.
people say, hi, oh, hi. You're like, hi. It's like a lost relative, and it feels so warm. And you don't realise how rare that is. And it doesn't come from like a fake place. It's like proper, authentic. You know?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
when you say it, you mean it. Like you're genuinely happy to see.
I think I sometimes overwhelm you. I mean, some seems
like
more. She's like there, but I used to feel initially when I used to bump into you a lot. I felt like I used to overwhelm you with like.
No,
yeah,
not at all. I'm just weird.
Aren't we all a little bit? No, I think it also comes from, we were actually reading this quote, like it actually has to come from within.
Yeah.
Material things will not really bring, over the years, like I thought, you have to have something in order for you to be happy. And I think for me, I don't know if this was just something from like my childhood where you don't really get those moments a lot. So when you do, you actually enjoy it. And in terms of not just material things, in terms of like feeling of with people, moments where you're just doing something really silly, whether it's like riding your bike for the first time,
so glad-
swimming,
Like actually taking in the
enjoyment
of that moment.
and that
Yeah.
moment. So I
Yeah.
really started to realize and I think I've translated this to my adulthood, is that my happiness comes from like moments I do towards like just those moments. So the first time I learned how to swim, like I'll never forget that. Like my dad literally threw me in the ocean and then it was like moments of, okay, can I swim? What's happening? And then you realize you can float. And then that feeling is so happy because you realize, well, you're not gonna drown, bruh. So, and then it's like that first time I learned how to ride a bike, because I was one of the last people to ever learn in my estate how to ride a bike, yet I was one of the oldest people. So
How old were you?
I was like 10, 9, 10, because everybody was riding bikes without their tricycles. I was still doing that thing of like, oh, I can't ride with
like the
two.
stabilizers.
Yeah. And my mom really, really tried to like teach me, but one time it was just me and my neighbor. And he did it in one afternoon. She was so pissed off. She's like, you can ride a bike. I've been trying for months. So that feeling is what was so exciting and so much happiness, like so much joy. The feeling when you see friends, like,
Yeah. But I feel like, I'm glad you mentioned childhood, because I feel like you were I was less afraid to express happiness then. And you found happiness in the most stupid of things. Like we used to dig holes in the garden and fill it with water to make swimming pools. And that was fun. And like you feel elated. But I feel like as you get older, you start to numb yourself to the small pleasures.
I believe so. You don't get as excited, and I still get excited like being outdoor. Like when I was like waiting, we were kind of like waiting before we started this podcast, and I was like walking around the garden, and I'm just like, wow, the sun is out today, the wind is blowing. Like these are just some small things that should exude that happiness.
So these
honestly.
are the things that I feel like people can learn from you.
Yeah.
So the fact that, you go around, you don't have blinkers on, you go around and you appreciate everything that's around you. You're aware of what's happening. You're not just going from A to B, you're absorbing everything around you.
So she's not desensitized to
Yeah.
the fact that the sun is there and there's a breeze. And
Oh
things like
man, it's like today I literally told someone like I feel like if I don't go outside and recharge, like I'm not gonna be okay tomorrow. I'm not gonna be okay tomorrow. Yeah, so those are the small things that I think people should continue to learn, and if you have kids, like continue to instill that in them.
Don't shut it down.
Don't shut it down. I wish more classrooms were outside. Actually, I really.
Have you ever met a 10-year-old drunkard or a young drunk? You don't. They don't need it. Do you know what I mean? I feel like to kind of get sensitivity back, it's like people rely on alcohol to feel have that freedom, like they can just run and jump and not be judged. But kids just do those things anyway.
They do that thing anytime.
But let's just take a step back. How would you describe happiness in the first place? What is happiness?
I think that's a good question, because I've been actually asking myself, how do you define that? I think it's that you would almost want to to go into the file of your brain and always want to recall a feeling that made you feel some type of way. And that was a type of, whether it was joy, enjoyment, some sort of thing that brings a smile to your face. I almost want to describe that happiness is that feeling that you remember, you go into a memory, and that's what helps you.
But put the memory aside, like in that moment, say you're experiencing a happy moment, and you mentioned feelings. Like, what does it actually feel?
What does it feel like? Yeah, it's like tingling in your. It's like almost your body is waking up.
Yeah.
And I think we forget, like, we have these small parts. I recently, like, broke my toe, like, earlier this year, and I realized, like, how much one toe can actually destabilize the whole body.
Yeah, then you learn to appreciate it, right?
So I'm actually starting to realize, like, if you can feel the small parts of the nerves from each and every part of your body waking up, then that's actually a feeling of happiness. Your body actually responding to a certain time for where, and it's like your heart beats all of a sudden. It's just like blood rushing to certain parts. You know, like people tend to get red, for example.
Being aware of yourself.
It's just, it's a
There's
very
a heightened state of awareness that brings you pleasure, right?
yes, and
I often see it as a spectrum. Like, basically, it's the spectrum of feelings from being content all the way up to joy and elation.
oh yes,
Like, but anything
Ecstasy.
anything below content is not happiness.
That's just indifference.
Yeah. But do you ever remember what was the last time that you felt? Have you ever felt pure joy?
like pure joy. Oh wow, I think it really happens like at different points. Like pure joy is like, it's like seeing. Okay, it's honestly when I see small kids, and it's like when they look, when they give me, like when they look at you like directly, it's like, what? This person is like when they actually say this is a bundle of joy, it's actually for real. And actually, I think I feel that, like, it happens in the supermarket.
Why do you think that is?
I have no.
Triggering you?
I don't know what it is. I think it's almost their innocence.
Yeah.
It's their innocence because there's nothing. They're not clouding. They're not hiding. And if they're smiling for real. Like they're really excited.
Yeah.
Like there was a time, like my niece, because I got these beads, was really just excited to touch them and was like, what are these things that keep tingling?
There's no barriers with kids.
There's no barriers. I'm telling you, kids have a lot to teach us.
The other day we had every few Sundays in the month we have like a kids session in Karen.
Okay.
So they paint and we get Tetu Shani, he's a musician.
Oh, I love shout out to Tetu.
Yeah. Tetu. He's awesome. So he brings his guitar, he plays them music, and he reads them a storybook.
Oh, he's a dad. So I mean, that kind of like, he really gets into
cool
it.
dad.
Yeah, he's such a cool dad. And he's been on our podcast for Free Mind, so that's cute. And it's coming all full circle.
But I remember just at the beginning of the session watching all the kids painting and just getting into it. They were so absorbed, and just seeing them relating to each other. Yeah, it brought something alive in me. It just made me so happy. I felt so joyous just watching them. Yeah, it was so calming. Yeah, just standing there and watching them. And I don't know what it is. It is maybe their innocence. It just made me feel so good. Oh. You know, something that I was recently discussing, and I don't know if this is, it's almost like we really, as we continue to become adults and grow, we really have to always look at the inner child in us. That play with play. I
meet people and I'm like, were you ever a child?
Yeah. Some people were not.
I wonder.
Yeah, but sometimes you meet kids.
Yeah.
That
adults.
Yeah.
That are adults.
Born adults.
Yeah. So
that have no joy.
It's a very interesting dynamic, you know, and the inner child is the one that I always look into because I'm like, that person is always who I want to emulate. Yes. Like I always want to go back and kind of like check up on that person and bring that person out, because then you don't take life so seriously. You know, people are walking around with such anxiety and tension and confusion, and half the time we have no idea what we're doing because nobody gave us a manual to do.
But nobody knows the answer.
And nobody knows the answer. Yeah. So I always ask myself, like, if we don't know the answers, then we should just continue to learn, like use these like that childlike nature to learn, because
be curious.
Be curious, because with play it's no end. That's why you say Jack and no play made Jack a dull boy, right? Yeah.
That's why I always think it's important to open yourself up to new experiences, like a child. Yeah, everything is new to a child, isn't it? That's why there's
imagination.
Exactly.
Just
why do adults pretend to know everything then?
I don't know, and this is something is a facade that was instilled by other people who thought that was the norm to do, because even as a kid, you think, oh, it's better to be an adult because they know everything. They seem to have it all together. Well, they're trying to figure out what to do for you.
It's always rushing to try to be, mature
Big,
and adult.
Oh, damn.
When you become an adult, I feel like happiness becomes this elusive thing. Like everyone's always chasing it, but they're never there. So that's why I was really interested to know what your definition of happiness was. Because I feel like, if we're honest, everybody wants to be happy, and what that is as a definition. Maybe it might be like you're saying, elation, joy, a tingling feeling. It could be love. It could be any positive emotion. Yes. But I just feel like everyone's always chasing it, but no one's actually enjoying the present moment.
I beg to differ. I just want to say, I believe that I'm happy, and I don't want to be told that everybody's unhappy and they're chasing it, because I don't believe that to be the case. I feel like I'm happy, and there might be moments in time when things try to disrupt my happiness. Happens every day. I run a business. Happens every day. Yeah. But I try to keep on, an even keel, and the majority of the time, I believe I'm happy. Yes.
Okay, maybe what I'm saying, and I'm not saying it in the right way. I believe that happiness is a spectrum, right? So as we said, there's joy, and then there's ecstasy, right? Yeah. I don't think it's natural. Maybe
to be on a high.
Ecstatic. Because then you never appreciate happiness. You wouldn't recognize it, because if it's your constant state, you wouldn't recognize it as happiness. So I'm talking about, when I say happiness, I mean ecstasy. I don't mean like just being content, because I think contentment is a form of happiness.
I believe that,
but that's a state of being that I can believe that you're in.
But like you were saying before, but even being content is hard for some people.
Yeah, because people would rather fall back into, because now then we go into states of like, people who are depressed and sad, and that's the only thing that they've ever known. So even getting those glimpses of happiness really don't seem like something of their reality at all. So I think...
See, I find like things like depression really hard to talk about, because I feel like I definitely believe that clinical depression exists, but then everyone has down days. But I feel like a lot of people misclassify depression as, come on, you're having a bad month or you're having a bad week, you're not technically depressed. But I do feel like there are things that we can do daily to kind of keep us in that space of contentment. Cool. So what tools, what tools do you think, or what tools do you use to kind of make you feel happy?
I think definitely it's a lot of like self-care up in here. How I start my day. I'm in a constant state sometimes where I almost laugh at myself. So even when something bad is happening, I'm like, okay, why were we upset about that? It's you almost have to joke about it, but you also know that like there's the seriousness of it, there's the gravity of what is happening, depending on that. And I think I always constantly wanna like get into places like in the mornings, like how do I spend that 1 hour before I get in touch with the world? Simple things like just even making myself like a cup of tea, man. That it's like the other day I was even explaining, like we're talking about mindfulness, how it feels on your hand, the smell of the tea, the smell of that, like just like even what cup you decide to, like if you have a favorite cup, for example, what you listen to in the morning, what you write down to set the intention of that day. I mean, it doesn't happen every single day, of course, because there are days where I'm just like, do I even really have the time to sit down, We were even talking about like just food, for example, like what you ingest, is a huge impact. Is it live food, like is it dead food? And these are the things that really just whatever you ingest starts to illuminate,
let's like go and dive into that a little bit more. So we were just saying earlier that, I brought up the conversation where I was saying there are foods I consider dead foods, right? So anything processed, I don't know, like pasta or bread or porridge, for example, yeah? Whereas live foods are things like strawberries, kiwi, salad. And I totally agree with you. When I eat, everyone does this, like I binge, right? I might just have like burgers for a week. And it affects my state of mind. Like I'm like sluggish and like, oh, I feel heavy. But then when you switch to live foods, you feel more sprightly, you feel more alive, you feel more awake. So food does definitely have an influence on your chemicals in your brain. But why are people so reluctant to believe that what you ingest is what actually comes out? Like people, I don't get it. Like I've spoken to some people like, food is food. No, it's not.
I think it's like we said, mindset. You know, we are having a conversation right now. I mean, it's not to say like that is the opinion we are shoving down somebody's throat, but it's to educate and enlighten that like this is a path that people who are feeling some type of way can take. Because if you're doing something and you're not getting better results, obviously this is insanity. And I think I was saying this, like even with food, like, stopping to take like red meat and even chicken. And I hope to get to a point of plant. I still love my fish, but it's where like you start to realize like things that grow from the ground have this energy, you know, that you cannot, there's no way we can create that. Like this is being created as we speak. We ingest, breathe, and it will continuously help us to understand that, to get to the point of, I want to almost say emancipation, but
Slip up there.
I was like, I always struggle with that word, but it's like I can see it in my mind, but I never know how to say it. So
Emancipation.
So it's almost like where people are starting to realize the way in which the society wants to gear us to even think that food is just food. No.
It's medicine.
It's medicine. Yeah. That's why people say like, you go back into like how things happened back in the history of herbal medicine and natural foods and even being able to heal diseases because of this.
Exactly.
What you are able to ingest from the ground is something we need to bring back, and we need to start to talk about it more.
Yeah. Like I find it amazing, like in this garden there are avocado trees, and you think that you just water this plant. And from this plant there's a flower, and then that flower decides to be an avocado. That flower can also be an orange or a lemon. You know, I find that so fascinating how something can transition
to that.
We're kind of veering off topic,
but no, it's part of the happiness also of the garden. But
walking into a garden space, it makes you feel happy, like a green space, like you feel calm. No, whoever feels agitated when they walk into a garden, like really, who gets angry? Oh, I'm in the garden, I'm angry now. Certain emotions that you can't really have in certain spaces.
That's why people are always like, right now, I mean, we live in Nairobi and there's not really much green space. You know, I always constantly talk about this, like we really need to get to a point where we are fighting for more green space, because you know, Nairobi is starting to become this really intense concrete jungle, and you're wondering why people half the time feel overloaded, again with anxiety, stress, want to always leave town. You know, you're fighting to always have that time where you can rejuvenate, but you're scared to come back to the city because you're going to enter the cycle again.
Do you feel like sometimes it feels like a negative cloud is over the city? Yeah,
and I wonder why we cannot make the place we live in habitable. Like we should be excited to be in the city. Like there are cities that are fun and exciting. I had the pleasure of going to Cape Town like in 2018. And I was excited, like to be there, to enjoy. Maybe it was just the feeling of
being
on holiday and everything. But my sister also studied there for 3 years, and she also enjoyed, you know, the pleasures. Of course, there's all the dynamic of being in a different country, but we should be able to enjoy our city. I feel so. I don't think we should be just letting things be bygones because we cannot control those things. We should
Apparently people up country are much happier than city dwellers.
Yes, and they think that city people are enjoying because they have more money, and it's not the case.
Well, the grass is always greener there,
on the other side.
But it's just, I feel like when you're in a city, it's all the energy of hustling. You know, everyone's just trying to
be in the cognited and eat. It's and it's the Maslow's law hierarchy that states when people have to eat, they'll do anything. So if that's not sorted out, then we're in a problem.
I think it's also got to do with the fact that people don't trust each other.
Oh,
You know, like
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like say you're up country, you can leave your door open.
Yeah.
You know, you can, everyone knows each other.
Yeah.
In the city, it's not like that.
Yeah, like people say Nairobi is small, but we still have issues
Yeah.
with being able to like open up. Like even information is still, there's a lot of like, I've said this so many times, gatekeeping. You ask for help in a certain way and you feel like people are, there's somebody just at the door like with the key and looking at you like,
No, but do you know what gets my back up? Yeah. What kind of takes away from my happiness is I like random acts of kindness, right? Sometimes I might just open a door for someone because I feel like it. But I feel like when I'm in Nairobi, it's like when someone opens the door, they want something.
Yeah.
It's like someone helped me park the other day, and then he was like, "Okay, do you have anything for me?" It's like, can someone not just do something just because it's a nice thing to do?
I know.
I feel like there's always some kind of exchange, some kind of transaction that's expected.
so funny you say that because even me, sometimes I go to like, like how Carrefour, if you have like spend an amount, then they give you this ticket and I don't even need to use this ticket. So there was a time I really tried to give someone this ticket and they thought I was being creepy. I'm like,
You're being nice.
I was trying to give you my ticket. So you use it like, cause I'm 2 minutes from junction. I don't need to to you have this ticket. And the guy thought I was being a creep and I was like, oh my goodness. So I gave the watchman, I said, whoever wants this, give it to them. Because they'll probably trust you more than me.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, that's so funny. Oh
So
dear.
would you say that you make a real conscious effort to try and be happy, or does it come naturally to you?
I think it's a bit of both, because sometimes, obviously, like we said, there's days that will be very cloudy. I do know, like for me as a creative, a lot of my work is very emotional, very driven.
Yeah.
Even with Free Minds, people always go like, "Oh my goodness, Free Minds is like the thing that saved my life, everything." But it was created when I was in a dark place. Like, I lost a parent. I had to repeat. That's okay. Had to repeat the year. I wasn't sure if I was going to go back into uni. It's places where I wasn't sure if I even wanted to like be in this space anymore. Like meaning like creative and design, because that requires a lot of you. And it's like now, like as I've, seen the patterns of things that bring me happiness and things that I constantly want to do for myself. I think, like you said, conscious, and I make it, and it also comes naturally because I don't know. I was, my mother is always like, no, but I've always known you to be like the most vibrant person, even though you think you aren't, even if you think there are moments where you aren't as vibrant, like right now.
So it's your natural disposition, or that's how you come across.
Yeah.
But you might not even be fully aware that that's how you seem all the time.
Yeah, because
But what you said, actually, I don't want to lose that point.
yeah.
You said you're the most creative when you're in a dark place.
Yeah.
You're not the first person to say
Yeah.
that. So maybe it's not always in our best interest to be happy all the time.
Yeah.
Because some disharmony can bring about growth and something
it
new.
definitely
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And I had to really, because I felt, for a long time I was kind of beating myself up for feeling down. Because I was like, does this mean that Nyacomba changes? Because she's not herself. As I'm not as
usual happy
my
self.
usual happy self. And I had to really like relearn that during therapy. Like, no, there's moments, like you said, the household has to break
The new things to
for new things to come.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Thanks for sharing.
Oh.
Do you feel like money has anything to do with this? Because I feel the most at peace when I don't have to think about, feeding myself. I remember times in university when like I'm down to my last penny and I wasn't feeling very happy.
Yeah. And I'm wondering like if it's just like it comes to the spectrum of just maybe at that point it's just that you're not okay, but it doesn't mean you're not happy because you're doing also other things that are bringing you joy and happiness, because I was thinking about this, like, yes, as a creative, the one thing we want to feel is stable.
Yeah.
We want to feel like there's a constant, like if it's finances, money is coming in, so you don't have to think about many things. But I was also starting to think, if you take away all that though, there's something much bigger than you. Because I've had moments in Free Minds where like we're really asking ourselves like, what are we exactly doing? This is not paying our bills.
Yeah.
This is not like we're actually doing. I mean, the first year we actually did things out of pocket.
Yeah.
But we're still getting joy out of this.
Yeah,
So
it's fulfilling you. It's fulfilling you.
it's
Yeah.
fulfilling me in a certain way. So I might not be happy in the sense of my finances, of course, but there's still joy that's kind of being fed. That almost like, because you know, ego also comes into play. Because when you feed that part of the ego, the fear does not come out as much.
So satisfaction comes in different ways.
Yes.
But I feel like I've heard so many celebrities on talk and about happiness and about money.
Yes.
And I feel like the lesson that I learned from that is, money can give you peace, it give you the freedom, but I think they get to a point where they plateau and like, okay, I have money now. What else is there?
Yeah.
Like, it's not the be all and end all. Like she's saying, I think there's something bigger.
And once you see that, you start to realize, oh gosh, like, I mean, this is probably like the alignment that I needed from the universe. And there's parts where you'll be like kind of confused about it, but I think you'll always gravitate to what it is you're meant to be doing, you know.
And do you feel like doing Free Minds, you said you're getting satisfaction from, in a way, helping other people?
Yeah. Because I'm such an extrovert, and I really draw energy from people. Like it's actually a bit. I've had to relearn those tactics because I would get so much, positive energy. But then if I don't get that positive, like if I get into a place where the people's energy are not good, I also absorb that and it also brings me down. So I've had to learn, and I'm not there yet, honestly, because I still do that. I still get into places where I'm really trying to almost like not blanket it, but like absorb it because I need to do that in order to help. And
Hold on. So can you spend considerable amounts of time just alone?
I'm learning to.
But do you find your energy depletes then when you're not around people?
No, it's actually that I actually need time to like re-energize, because what happens is I'll start to ask myself, why am I feeling so drained? And it's not like I was in any kind of, I don't know, argument or anything, but it's because of the people I probably was surrounding myself, giving myself the impression that these people are good energy or this is where I need to be, and probably just giving myself psych that this is what I should be doing, but maybe I should actually be taking time off, So more and more, I think in the last few months, I've actually been enjoying my own company, which is fine, and I don't beat myself up about it. I think it's also when you've been in the past, when you're the go-to person for a lot of people, you just tend to just think, you don't think that much, you do, and then you think later, which is will be detrimental, because when people learn that about you, they use that against you. So that's also another thing that
wow, that's a whole nother topic.
That's a whole nother topic.
I was just thinking more about how, by doing Free Minds, getting people to open up.
Oh,
and
yes.
talk, and that is making an impact, positive impact
yes.
on the world. And I was just thinking about the fact that, everything that I do, everything that I try to do, I get satisfaction. I get that extra satisfaction if I know it also has an impact.
Oh yeah, it's so refreshing, because that's what has kept us going. I think there was a time like around 2018 when we were not, like I was telling you, we were not sure because the monetary value wasn't still materializing, and you get worried because you're like, we're also not getting younger. Like we have to also be wary of what we're doing and how we're doing it. But it's like those moments where you meet people and they're like, this is really like been important for me to come here every month to like sit into your sessions, to actually open up. Like I don't do this in my normal daily life. I don't do this at work. I don't do this at home. I don't do this.
There's no space. Where's the space to do
Where's
that?
the space? And you guys are providing that space. And this is so important. Please keep doing it. So it's just pockets of conversations I've been having with people, whether it's online, offline, random, whereby it keeps me going and makes me realize that I cannot stop. I have, like, this is beyond me.
Because it's a form of giving, it's a form of service that you're doing. And okay, so it made me think as you're talking about the next kind of thing, like, and what Samantha was saying about you said you feel fulfilled when you're giving, right?
Yeah.
So can you be happy in isolation? Can you be happy
Oh,
without being of
yeah.
service to somebody else? Or are we so interconnected that the condition of happiness is, by default, you have to give?
You see, that's so funny. That's probably why I had to take a break from therapy, because it reached a point where I was being asked, if you remove the aspect, if Nyacomba wasn't with a giver, what would she be? And I was just like, wow. What does that look like? Because all I've known all my life as a 7-year-old is that you just give. Like, I'm a firstborn, you give. You're there. Yeah, you know, like, you know this, firstborn and firstborn girls. Like, it's something that has always, it's almost like instilled in you like a chip. And I was being asked, like, what if that was removed? And I honestly,
you give first. Before yourself.
Before yourself.
helping yourself.
And it almost you had to start looking beyond, oh, if you don't give, you will be a selfish person. You'll be, no, it actually will be good for you. It will be good for your own well-being if you don't give. And that's where you asked the question, where do you get your pockets of happiness, and how do you do that for yourself? I think that would be the better way to answer that question. Like, I've started to be able to do things that don't have to involve, giving, and it's all about me in that moment.
Yeah, I totally agree. Someone said something, and
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, this is so true, right? So you can't always give, and
Yeah.
also you can't always receive, right?
Yeah.
And you always look to nature for answers sometimes. So I feel like
There's
I
always
feel like
answers
there's
in there.
natural law, yeah?
Yeah.
So one lady said that it's like breathing. If you just breathe out all the time, you'll die. If you breathe in all the time, you'll die. You breathe in and you
That's
breathe
the
out.
balance.
So
Yeah.
you need that balance of giving and taking,
Okay.
giving and taking.
Yeah.
I really think it's like it sounds very complicated, but it's also very simple when you think about it, because I was doing like this meditation course, and one of the activities was like, if you aren't able to be the person that people think about you today, what would be like state it? It took me 5 days to think about that question. I was like, what would I be actually?
No, but it's fascinating. Like,
What would I be?
When you take away your identity, so
Yeah,
the
that
giver
thing.
or the extrovert,
or then
what's left?
Yeah, what is
What
left?
is it?
Like, what am I?
Yeah.
And it was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, you almost start to backtrack a little bit, because even with the ethos of what Free Mind Sessions is, it was always about like being bodiless creatures navigating this world so that we are able to accept each other without this judgment, this skin, this facade, everything. And actually our gift when we go to the afterlife is getting bodies, right? So that's amazing, because then that makes you appreciate people more. That your not initial reaction is being attracted to certain types of things, So it really took me a long time to think about that question.
Yeah, okay, so I kind of feel like what we're all saying is happiness is about self-discovery. Like, you kind of need to know
Who you are.
first before you can figure out what even happiness
Even looks like.
Yeah.
Because even like, say, for example, having children. People say, oh, I was happy when I had children. I'm like, but that's a whole different
whole other chapter,
dial.
yeah.
That's a whole different person.
Yeah.
That person's going to have their life. What happens now, like when they leave?
You still have to remember
empty
yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so
They can't be your identity.
you'll be there. And that's sometimes, unfortunately, people's lives have been like that. People surround with their work.
Yeah.
Happiness is my work when I create something, right? So when you're not creating, what does that mean?
Exactly.
Does that mean that you're not worth it? Like worth living?
So it does provide me with so much happiness though, because I feel like it enables me, creating enables me to bring what's inside out.
I understand that.
You know? And that is me.
But I feel like there are different avenues for that creativity, and it shouldn't just be channeled into one thing, because that one thing becomes your identity. So if that thing is life, like things come and go. So if that thing goes, what's left? Are you gonna die?
So because I read this thing, it's like on Instagram, Conscious Arrival, and they said like, what if maybe our purpose in life wasn't even to like come and change the world, make it a better place? What if we were just meant to breathe and sit and exist, and nothing was meant to be so complicated, Because I look at other creatures and how their sole purpose, mainly some of it is to procreate, they die. Like the octopus, think about the octopus.
The octopus is a different. You can't, right.
The octopus,
That's
once
not an animal.
She watched my octopus teacher.
You
Yeah,
are the octopus
that's not-
teacher. Oh
yeah.
no, man, I cried.
That's
I
a
couldn't.
different thing.
Let me
That's
tell you, the octopus. I mean, the minute the octopus gives birth, that's it. I'm like, what? And there was such a living, beautiful.
Or maybe it was just the octopus. Maybe that octopus, that particular octopus, had
shoes.
reached enlightenment or some version of enlightenment, and it was able to do all of these different things. Anyway, if you haven't seen this show, you need to watch it.
My octopus teacher on
haven't seen
on
my
Netflix.
octopus
I'm not the advertisement.
It will change your.
But-
It will blow your mind.
I
Yeah.
haven't seen it yet.
But anyway, the thing is, I was just thinking about it, and I was just like, you know, plants, they grow, they produce. They still, I mean, there's still trees of plus 100 years, you know, breathing, living. And so I just really had to think about it because, you know, all my life, I think I've always been drawn to wanting to help change things.
There's a bee.
There's a bee.
that Natalie's scared of.
Oh, gosh.
Where is it? Just so I know.
It's because you have so
It's
gone,
sweet
it's gone.
things.
Sorry, I didn't mean to stop you.
No. No, it
Pass
was,
the plantains.
yeah.
You're talking about plants, watching them grow.
Yeah, that kind of thing. And just wondering whether in human existence,
Yeah.
for example, that maybe was that the case, you know?
No, but you okay, I don't think you realise what you just said. Growing is an action, right? The
Yeah.
plant is growing.
Yeah.
So our version of growing
Yeah.
and it's self-expressing is doing, could be, like she said, in a job or an art form or creative energy. So there's no difference.
Yeah. We are really,
It
Or,
transforms
or
from a seed.
advancing as a human being.
Yeah.
yeah.
So I don't know, becoming better at what you do, thinking in a deeper way. All these things, you know, where you grow.
Yeah.
It's the same as a tree growing.
Yeah.
But there's the difference between us and plants
Yeah, obviously.
is that we have conscious.
We have a conscious mind.
Yeah.
We have the
So
conscious
what's
mind.
the reason for that?
The conscious and the subconscious mind. So
Yeah.
those are now the parts where, like, I mean, obviously right now we are in the conscious mind because we are like awake, everything. But I always ask, because now this is always the interesting part, and this is also a part, another way I derive happiness is through my dreams. I really, unless it's nightmares, my dreams actually is my most happy place. And because I also write my dreams down. So that
I don't remember mine. I'm so glad you remember yours.
yeah, no, it took a while before I would wake up, and in 5 minutes, by the time I'm reaching to like brush my teeth, and I'm kind of like, the more I try and think, the more it escapes.
Yeah.
Or during the day, things trigger you.
Oh, yes, and then you start to think, wait, and that's when you're like, deja vu?
Yeah.
Hey, I don't know. So like, yeah, it's like those things where you're like, the imagination of like that world that exists solely in here, and how it could
How
transcend.
is that not real? That is a version of reality.
That's what I've
It
been
is. Yeah,
saying.
it is.
I think so. Because sometimes some things happen and you ask yourself like, wait a minute. I mean, did I not kind of in a way manifest this in my sleep states?
You know, but think about it, right? So you dreamt something, you had some kind of visual.
Yes,
yeah?
yes,
You had an
yes.
experience,
Yeah.
that you can't deny. It wasn't shared with us or anybody else. But what's the difference between that experience had in your dream and what happened yesterday? Because yesterday isn't tangible, you can't touch it. What's the
Okay.
difference?
I never actually thought about it like that. I just thought, you know, like in my sleep state, it's just the most enjoyable spot because you're just there.
You're free.
Yeah. And you know, there's things you can do and then,
It's your spirit running free.
yeah.
So your dreams are like your happy place.
Yeah, because they get like now more and more. I'm really trying to get to a place where like you almost like lucid dream, so you can
wanna
like
do that.
and but lucid dream is not as easy as people think.
I've had it once or twice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually choose
what you can do, but when it does happen, it's really nice. But when things also happen and you're just like, wow. It I guess that's why your brain actually forgets dreams, because then you'll reach a point of and you're not really remembering you will not get
real,
what's real, what's not.
No,
That sounds like it would drive you a bit crazy.
No, but have you had those dreams where you end up in like a really nice car and you're eating your favorite meal?
Yeah.
And then someone wakes you up and you're like,
Or you're in the car of your dreams.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
You know, you're on a shopping spree
Yeah.
in, I don't know, New York.
Yeah.
And then you wake up.
realise, like,
You wake up.
Damn it.
Oh, dang. But yeah, it's also part of my happy place,
Yeah.
to be honest.
My happy place too.
Yeah, that's good.
What about love? Do you
Love.
think that love contributes to happiness, or
That's another deep thing, because
Being
then
in
we
love.
can get into what is love again. Like, what does it mean? Because it's different to different people.
It means so much
belonging?
different.
I see it as belonging.
Like home.
Yeah.
Oh.
But
Maybe-
is that integral to happiness? Can you be happy alone?
Can you be happy alone?
That was my question before. Like, can happiness exist in isolation? I don't think it can. Because I think you need a contrast. You need something to bounce off or to recognize that that's real. Because like that's why dreams are a very personal experience, and no one can share the happiness because that was your dream. Do you know what I mean? Whereas I feel like I don't know what I'm saying anymore. I lost it. I lost it.
You were saying that.
No, I think what you're trying to say in
bringing love.
bringing contrast into that isolation, so it will not be, happiness cannot really entirely happen while you're alone.
Yeah.
Something has to be brought in that place.
So yes, I agree that happiness is love. It's just a different word. It's a form of happiness. Do you see what I'm saying?
So what is the form of happiness?
Love. Love is a form of happiness.
You confused me there.
Love is a form of happiness.
Both are feelings for sure.
Yeah.
When you are happy, you feel it. When you love, you feel it.
But hold on, can you be sad in love?
Yeah, I mean, you can be momentarily sad, but still love someone.
Really?
Yeah. When you're in love, you're not happy all the time. It's two separate things.
Yeah, because you're still your own individual
See, that's what I'm
person.
saying. Like, what's your definition of love then?
I doubt we can fully define it, but the way we can explain it, cannot define like textbook, but we can go into like depths of talking about instances where love was in a form of happiness and love was happiness, and the two can both coincide, because at the end of the day, I always believe like love is somewhat produced like from the inside.
Don't say it. Well, like a chemical reaction. That argument. I hate that argument. Don't say it.
I actually think it's a two-time thing. It's the brain, it's the heart.
Yeah.
Because people say, oh, the heart, whatever, it's whatever. But I think it's kind of, there is sometimes a possibility, like the way you feel in your heart and the way you feel in your brain is like very intertwined.
But I love you said that. No, I feel like when your brain and your heart are on the same page,
Yeah.
that's happiness. I feel like when your brain is somewhere else and it's saying no, and your heart's saying something else, that frustration is not happiness. I feel like when you have that
and
alignment,
it translates not just in relationships but in life.
yeah, everything.
Say a job, for example.
Yeah.
You're in a job, you're doing it, it's making you money. Right. Basically, being in a job also, if it coexists with having a passion for what you're doing, and it's bringing you money, all those things together combined, that is like the magic combination. If any of those elements are not there, you're not happy. It's the same as in a relationship. Yeah, like you just explained. I can't explain it again.
You literally hit the nail on the head on that one.
It's like lots of things have to kind of overlap.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't even know how you say it. Because like people now go from, with love, they're like, is it always immediate? Or do you go from a situation where you like someone, but don't necessarily love someone? I've always had this statement before, because that happens with family, right? You can love your family, but you don't necessarily like them.
Yeah.
And for me, I always go like, why does that have to be two and two together? I thought when once you like, anyway. And then there's the feeling of lust, right? Where it's like infatuation. That's infatuation. It's just kind of like the outward obsession with
It's
someone.
an illusion.
Yeah,
not reality.
and then it's for me
fleeting.
with lust. Why I've always felt like it's not the same as love is because of how it's preconceived notions about what you think this person is.
Exactly.
And then once you get to know them, you're like, I don't really think.
Like the blinkers have come off, blindfolds come off.
Exactly.
You're projecting. Basically, you're just creating.
You're
this
creating because
person.
you're just looking at them. It's almost like, when you like manic pixie girl, you just kind of think she's like this, And then once you get to know it, it's like,
She got issues.
and I don't want to deal with that. You see? So, yeah.
But I feel like love is also loving the not so nice bits about people as well.
That's exactly why.
perfection.
That's why love is such a strong emotion.
Yeah.
And it really sometimes also boils down to a lot of how we've been brought up. Like, who was the first person you loved?
Yeah.
Like, who is the first person who made you express that kind of emotion or felt that emotion with? Was it your mother? Was it your dad? Like, And yeah, like what was that first initial feeling?
That's what I'm saying. That's a whole deep topic because you can go into love languages. Like some people's love language could be giving, another one could be like what do you call it? Affection, like being tactile. So if my language is being tactile to you, but yours is gifts, then we're not talking the same language, and you're not understanding that I'm expressing love to you. So
Or protection. You know? Someone's love language could be, I'm going to look after you, but you might not necessarily show that person, you know, affection when that's what they really want. So that it has to kind of match.
Yeah,
that's a deep.
that's that's going outside. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like this life is a journey to understand all of these things, and I think you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't understand who you are and to figure out what makes you happy. And no one can tell you these things. So hopefully through conversations like this, it makes people think about their own mindset and think about, okay, what makes me happy? Who am I?
I think that would be a good takeaway. I think that's a good takeaway for people, because we might talk about all the things under the sun, but really, what does it boil down to? Self-awareness, right? Trying to know who you are, because that's when you meet also someone who is, because people always say, oh, I want to meet my better half. I'm actually more of like, I want to meet someone who's on their completed, and we're just two completed people continuing to grow together.
Does that exist?
It doesn't.
Are you ever completed?
Like,
is anyone ever completed?
When you complete, that's when you die.
Yeah. No, even then, even in death, are people complete?
No.
and I mean complete. Maybe that's not the best way to put it.
Knowing yourself?
Just knowing, like, you can see, especially when you can see certain patterns start to flow. Because I'm currently reading this book, like The Art of Thinking Clearly. And the guy even says at the beginning, this is not a handbook to thinking clearly. But this is to show you patterns that occur, especially with biasness, fallacies, this kind of stuff. You know, he's just kind of like pointing. It's almost like somebody's just showing you the roadmap, and you're okay not using it, but just know this is how it occurs.
No, but it's like your whole life is a bias. Because say we're brought up in different cultures, say if you're Christian or if you're Muslim, whatever, and
we all
your parents have certain practices and ways of doing things, we're already biased. So I think it's about removing those things, and by removing them, that's when you realise, actually, I like that, or I don't like that, or that makes me happy, or that doesn't make me happy.
It completely changes the lenses that you put on. They really affect what you see and how you take in life.
So it's about questioning everything.
Oh, wow, wonderful.
And I'm kind of glad that you shared that you went to see a therapist.
Oh yeah, I'm still currently seeing one.
I think it's
I don't
healthy.
feel bad these days about talking about that. There's just certain things like my friends, my family will not be able, they'll be too biased to tell me. And a therapist helps you see these critical situations and removes herself. And she's able to give it to you almost not like in a silver platter, but she'll give it to you for you to digest better. And then you just walk through different angles and tools also, which is learning about, it's just learning about the scenario and then figuring out what tools are needed for that scenario.
So she's almost giving you the tools so you can be your own therapist in a way. Or giving you that.
She laughs about that part because I don't want to be in therapy forever. But I also just am a big believer of like, almost finding that if out in the world when things occur, you're able to combat it better. It's helpful, but it's hard. That I've taken multiple breaks because we go through a like very consistent period, and when you start to break ground, things can be a bit intense. It's almost like building.
It's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt.
It's like building blocks.
When you say breaking ground, that means you're digging the painful areas and you're having to examine
exploring them.
And not many people are comfortable with doing that.
It's like going to a dentist.
Exactly.
It's like going to a dentist when they have.
Most people bury what they're uncomfortable with, but you're opening the wounds.
Yeah, but to be truly happy, I think you have to explore yourself to those levels. You have to cry. Anyway, guys, I think we have to wrap up this episode. Go on, sorry.
It's all right. I was just gonna share some tools that.
Oh,
have
go
helped
on. Sorry,
me.
let's share some tools. Okay.
It's all right. I feel like I want to end it
I want to
now.
hear the tools. Tell us these tools, Samantha.
No, I was just thinking. I was going to ask you if you've ever used the tool, because you said that your therapist shares some tools with you.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if you ever use affirmations, because
Oh.
so basically looking at what's positive in your life rather than focusing. It's very easy. I almost feel like it's a natural human behavior to constantly focus on the negative. It's like switching your mind around and saying, no, okay, I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for that in my life, and it completely changes the way that you see life.
Oh yeah.
In my opinion.
So one thing is like every time a negative thought comes into my mind, because I like sometimes watching football. Not on my pleasure, just for the fact that I like seeing hot men running around.
That's the only thing I'm watching.
But because I like football, they have red flags, right?
Yeah.
And every time a negative thought comes in my mind, I just red flag it. Like, it doesn't need to be here, it needs to get that back up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it needs
It's
to get
wasted energy.
It's wasted energy, remove it.
Get out of here.
If there's something we need to consider, maybe a yellow flag, but really yellow flags is only if it's something that is going to be of importance. But if something that I'm just dwelling and overthinking and worrying, then red flag, get out.
But I feel like red flags are sometimes your mind's lying to you.
And it's like telling you, it's forgetting all the things, all the good things you've done and just clouding it. And that's a phenomena, actually. Scientists know this. Like, that's a phenomena, like, almost like when negativity, because they've worked out, like, when people think of negative thoughts and they kind of put wiring and they saw the brain activity on when they were being told negative things versus positive things. Yeah.
And who says that voice is you? I'm not saying it's the devil. I'm not saying it's the devil, but...
I totally agree.
Yeah.
What's weird is you can actually hear, like, there are two voices in your head. It's like you're having your own conversation.
Yeah.
Everybody has that. Their thoughts, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, what is that voice?
Yeah.
Is it even you?
Yeah.
If you're recognizing it and you're acknowledging it, then it could be something else.
Yeah.
I know.
That's kind of creepy. You know?
I know.
And I also think, all right, another thing that I think brings happiness to my life is finding balance. I find if I work too hard and I'm constantly just thinking about work, and I'm not doing other things like exercise or, you know, or seeing friends or family or things like that, I feel like if I become one track minded, I lose my happiness.
I see.
Yeah.
Multifaceted human being then. Is
remembering to keep things balanced and, you know, life isn't that serious. Remembering that it's not that serious, you know?
It's never
I
that
think
serious.
I think it's powerful. It's a powerful thing. Yeah. But anyway, we can draw it to a close now.
Oh my
It's
God.
okay. Yes. So this has been great. Thank you so much for sharing.
No, thank
And
you.
being
so much with
vulnerable
us.
as well.
Yeah, thank you. I
really important.
I feel so humbled that you asked me to come. Like, what? And then it's weird because we bumped into each other, so I was like,
Yeah.
wow.
Jonas, this was meant to happen.
Thank you. Because guess what,
her
guys?
Christen name, her new Christen name. Why are you calling her Jonas?
Yeah, what was the new name again? Ray.
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 It's Ray of Sunshine.
Oh, thank you. If you guys didn't know, I met these girls like literally their first week
Yes,
in
in
Nairobi.
Nairobi, yeah.
After they've decided London ain't for us for now, we're in Nairobi.
Yes.
Had the talked all night, just got to know each other. I feel
At a
like
party
at Zachary's,
an art place.
at an art place just in
Had a
Priory.
good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, before we started getting serious into work. Yeah, we were exploring Nairobi, getting to know
days.
what makes Nairobians tick. It
Yeah.
was research.
It was research.
From Mama's
Necessary
Goro. It was.
But I'm glad. That's why we're enjoying the fruits of their labor.
I'm stuffed. I don't know if anyone's watched me. I've been eating this whole
I'm
time.
actually getting tired. I'm doing too much. I can sleep right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, the plantains that's what I've been on today.
Plantain.
Yeah. No,
Plantain
it's good.
and
Me-
the shito sauce.
If you don't know, their vegetarian section is great. It tastes just like meat. Don't feel bad. Yeah. But thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
I appreciate it.
So we'll leave all your details on the bottom there so you can follow
Yeah.
follow Ray. and listen to her wonderful podcast. She has an amazing podcast as well.
Yeah, sessions and podcasts, which is fun. Which is fun. We've always wanted as well. Yeah.
So I hope everyone out there has learned a little bit about, some tips from us about how to be happy. And yeah, we'll see you next time.
Stay free-minded.